Hello, students. We will study today Unit 5, first topic, which is variational autoencoders. Um, Basically, neural networks are used as classifiers or regressors. Regressors implies that it generates a numeric output. Classifier means that it does you know, um, grouping of elements based on the classes, and putting a item into a particular class or category. That is the main use of neural networks as regressors or classifiers. All right. Variational autoencoders, VAEs in short, these are powerful generative models. Generative models are those kinds of networks that can generate images, text, and that generative model produces an image which totally resembles an actual image. And for instance, face generation of human faces or a synthetic music and generated human face looks like a real human face. So that kind of networks are known as generative models. And in this, we will look at the intuition of VAEs and how it works. So what is the need of variational autoencoders? Why VAEs? Look at here. This is, putting uh, a glasses, increasing the width of glass. It simply generates a random new output that looks similar to the training data. All right, and then uh, what happens is the variations on the data which we have, the existing data, is being modified or updated through different methods, and it's not just a random way of generating new kind of data. Rather, it is a specific method specific technique. Is applied to generate the things. So that's why this VAEs works better than any other method currently available, because it follows a specific direction. It's not just, for instance, in our training data, if we have face, okay, these are face, human face data. This face data, it learns, the model learns these faces and then generates a new face, which is not at all there in the uh, data set. And that generation is not random. Random means take this eye, put somewhere, take this another eye, put somewhere else. It's not like that. It follows a particular pattern. All right, that is the characteristic of VAEs, decoding the standard autoencoder. Recall that autoencoder is a pair of two connected networks. There is an encoder and a decoder. What does encoder do? It takes the input and converts it into smaller dense representation. For instance, if I tell you tomorrow class um, at 5 p.m., for instance, then what it does is this input it converts into smaller dense representation. Instead of tomorrow, perhaps it writes to RW, okay, and class means KLS. At, at means, for instance, at the rate at 5 p.m. What it is doing, look at here, this bigger representation, bigger input is converted into uh, a smaller representation. Okay, it is converted into smaller representation. That is the encoder task. While decoder convert it back. Now this tomorrow has to be converted back to this TOMORROW. This is the encoded form. Encoded form has to be decoded back to the original form. That is the decoder network. For instance, here CNN, convolutional neural network. This convolutional neural network has got these layers. This is the input, and then these convolutions, and then convolutions generate feature maps. Feature maps are subsampled, and then finally it learns some features and predictions happens. Okay, so this is what is this? This is like an encoder which is trying to represent this input into some smaller and smaller features. And here CNN essentially takes a large image of size and convert it into much more compact dense representation. You see 299 times 299 times 3. Okay, it's a very huge number. What CNN is doing, apparently it is converting this whole image because image is represented in the form of pixels, okay, having dimensions. So that representation is mapped to a smaller representation, which is having just 1000 values. Okay, this is in a way encoding. So the encoder is similar, and it is simply as a network that takes an input and produces a much smaller representation, which is nothing but encoding. And remember that the encoding process does not alter the meaning or alter the essence of the input. It converts the input in uh, an encoded form in such a manner that uh, the network should be able to reproduce the original form. All right, and that smaller representation contains enough information for the next part of the network to process into the desired output format. You know, within a class, the roll number would look like this college code, then this course code, then year, then roll number. This is the input. You can convert it into just simply one, because within a class, no other student will have a one. However, from this one, we can generate this roll number back, because we know what is college code, what is course code, and what is the year. Then we can get back the original form. Autoencoders um, flip it on its head by making the encoder generate encoding specifically useful for reconstructing its own input. This is input. An encoder, it's like this: a large input. Encoder will convert into smaller representation, and from a smaller representation, we should be able to get back the same. And if this one and this one is same, then the encoder is, optimal, is performing well, and the entire network is trained. The loss function is either mean squared error or cross entropy between the output and the input. Okay, and as the encoding has got less units than the input, and encoder must choose to discard information. The encoder learns to preserve as much as relevant information as possible. If you take a picture, or a selfie, then when you take a selfie, what is important in this selfie? This your face, okay, and then here you will find, say, window. Here you will find a wall. Here you may find a table. There are various other uh, background details present in this image. What is the essential element of this image? This selfie, this human being. Okay, so when you are encoding this image, so it should preserve this part. It can eliminate the other things. Later on, it can generate also. If it knows that here there is a window, then instead of having a complete window, uh, in encoded form, it's just one single like this, rectangle is placed, and it implies that there is a window. Then you can generate a larger window from this. So that the whole idea is that you have to have all the relevant information in encoded form, and then the decoder takes the uh, encoded form, and how does it know how to get back the original input? Because it learns. Decoder learns. Decoder learns to take the encoding, and then it learns to reconstruct it into a full image. And together, this encoder decoder forms a uh, autoencoder. And what is the problem with standard auto? This is standard autoencoder. What is the problem? They learn to generate compact representation and reconstruct their inputs. But aside from a few applications like denoising autoencoders, they are fairly limited. Okay, the fundamental problem with the autoencoders for generation is that the latent space they convert in their input to, and where their encode vectors lie, may not be continuous or allow easy interpolation. What is the latent space? Recall that latent space is the one that is there in the hidden layer, the hidden nodes, and the hidden representation. That's the latent space. And then this input is converted into this latent space. Latent space is the one which is not known to user. The network is coming up with such a model that uh, user will not get to see this part. Okay. So then, to convert their inputs to and where encoded vectors. These are nothing but encoded vectors. These vectors may not be continuous, and therefore they do not allow interpolation. The operation that we can perform on these numbers. For example, training an autoencoder on MNIST dataset and visualizing the encodings from the 2D latent space reveals the information of distinct clusters. Okay, this makes sense, as distinct encodings for each image type makes it far easier for the decoder to decode them. If you are replicating the same image, this the distinct cluster which has been generated, which has been formed, you can visualize and you can understand that, through that this one, through this, that this is one cluster. Okay, this one is another cluster. This one perhaps is another cluster. Here also there is one more cluster. Here there is one cluster. Here there is one cluster. Apparently, it is easy to visualize and interpret the clusters through their smaller representations. Okay, but when a generative model is built, the a new image that is generated should not be a replica of an existing image. It should have to have different characteristics of uh, uh, different from the existing images. So you want to randomly sample from the latent space or generate variation on the input image, from a continuous latent space. Recognizing the things which are existing and generating something totally new out of existing thing are two different processes. These are not similar. These are two different things. Conventional autoencoders or standard autoencoders, uh, they, they don't have that. Um, they don't truly generate a different image from the existing images. They can just model the existing images uh, from the latent space into some form of clusters. So the decoder will simply generate an unrealistic output. If decoder does not understand the things, then decoder, as I told you, this decoder may put one eye here, one eye here. And it is totally unrealistic because decoder has no idea how to deal with that region of the latent space. So during training, it never saw encoded vectors. All right. Moving ahead to variational autoencoders, VAEs, they have one fundamentally unique property that separates them from vanilla autoencoders. These are nothing but the standard autoencoders which we studied just. And it is this property that makes them so useful for generative modeling. What is that? Their latent spaces are by design continuous, which allows easy random sampling and interpolation. Sampling from the existing one, you would like to generate a new one, which is like existing, but which is different. Okay, it is similar to existing one in some form, yet dissimilar in many forms. That is possible because the latent space, that hidden layer, is understood by the variational autoencoders. In a normal vanilla or standard autoencoder, they don't typically understands the latent space. How does it achieve that? By doing something that seems rather surprising. So it is doing something unique and making its encoder not output an encoding vector of size n, rather outputting two vectors of size n. A vector of means mu and another vector of standard deviation sigma. It achieve okay. So what? All right. Mainly try to understand that standard or vanilla autoencoders do not understand their latent space. Latent space is nothing but the representation present in the hidden units. They do not understand. Whereas variational autoencoders, they understand the latent space and also they generate two vectors. One is mean mu of the vector, and another one is the standard deviation of the encoding vector. So consider this input dense. These are dense nodes, 500 dense nodes, 120 dense nodes. Then the mu of dense is 30 and standard deviation of dense is 30. So what it is doing, it is generating 30 samples. And from that 30 sample, it could uh, generate 120 and 500. Actually, it is not generating 120 and 500. It is just having again 120 dense nodes and 500 dense nodes, from which the output is generated, and they form the parameters of a vector of random variables of length n, with the ith element of mu and sigma being the mean and standard deviation of the ith random variable xi, from which sample is obtained of encoding, which is passed on to the decoder. So these are the mean, this is the standard deviation, this is the intermediate representation, and this one is the sampled vector from this. So stochastically generating encoding vectors. So these are the encoding vectors. This stochastic generation means that even for the same input, while the mean and the standard deviation remain the same, the actual encoding will somehow vary on every single pass. Stochastic is not deterministic. Stochastic is opposite of deterministic. Deterministic is fixed. Stochastic is not fixed. Although the input is same, apparently it generates different outputs due to sampling, because you are computing mean and standard deviation. You could get a different output for the same input. If you check it out with standard autoencoder, it generates same outputs for the same input, perhaps. All right. So that this mean and standard deviation is not available here. Therefore, all right, here this sampling is quite important, because mm, the model uh, the model is exposed to a certain degree of local variation by varying the encoding of one sample, and it results in smooth latent space for similar samples. And we want overlap between samples that are not very similar to, in order to interpolate between classes. All right, since there are no limits on what values mu and sigma can take on, the encoder can learn to generate very different mu and minimize the sigma, making sure the encoding themselves don't vary much for the same sample. This allows a decoder to efficiently reconstruct the training data. So this is all about sampling, and then smoothing the latent space, and uh, having um, no overlap between the classes. Okay, there should not be any overlap between the classes. Means if this and this is there, then you should be able to. You should not generate like this overlap. The overlap should not be there. You should have distinct classes, and there are no limits on this mean and sigma. Different mean values are generated for different classes. Because different mean values are generated for different classes, they can cluster them apart. Cluster them apart means what? It means like this this blue ones, and here red ones, they are instructed. These two clusters are created, and they are placed apart from one another because of that mean and standard deviation. But then we don't want that. That is then that is not an ideal situation. So what ideally we want is all encodings, all of which are close as possible to each other while still being distinct. So that allows smooth interpolation and that enables reconstruction. You see here, we require like this, but then we end up generating like this. Okay, this is not desired. This one is desired. To obtain this one, this Kullback-Leibler divergence, also known as KL divergence. This is introduced, and this is equation of that means optimizing the probability distribution parameters mu and this mu and sigma, which is generated from mean and standard deviation, that has to be optimized to resemble the target distribution. How that is done? That is done by means of this equation, this sigma I square plus mu I square minus log of sigma I minus 1. This is done for I1 up to n. This is standard deviation, mean, and then log of that if it is taken. Then for VAEs, the KL loss is equivalent to the sum of all the KL divergences between the components. Between all the components, different KL divergence is computed and then that is used. And this loss encourage encoder to distribute all encodings evenly around the center of the latent space. If it tries to cheat by clustering them apart away from the original, it will be penalized. If suppose it does like this type of encoding, then it is penalized. Means it has to pay some penalty in the form of some uh, parameter. So purely KL loss results in latent space results in encoding densely placed randomly near center of the latent space. So here the decoder finds it impossible to decode anything meaningful from this space because it just pure KL loss. If we use this problem occurs. Look at this. They all got mixed up. They cannot be separated by any means. How can we form clusters? We cannot form. This totally uh, undesirable output. Uh, so therefore, what has to be done is which maintains the similarity of nearby encoding of the local scale via clustering, yet globally is very densely packed near the latent space origin. This is better because this is one cluster, this is another cluster, this is another cluster. So this equilibrium is reached by cluster forming nature of the reconstruction loss and dense packing nature of the KL loss. Both are combining and forming distinct clusters that decoder can. All right. Okay, that is all about variational in autoencoders. Do you have any doubt? Okay,